Masati. Welcome to XI, Exponential Intelligence, Human Potential Sciences. And it's been a fantastic, nearly a decade that I've been studying and really honing exponential intelligence into really a really dynamic, essential method or tool for you to be your best possible self. Now, there's been a ton of people with me that have come about that journey. But this is where XI begins. And that's why we've called the second generation of the podcast XI Begins, because in the past, exponential intelligence was used as a tool to get rid of all the garbage that you had coming into, your full potential. But that's not where XI begins. You have to remove all that stuff. You have to, take care of all the things, the things that, people like strive for their entire life, where, they need to make more money, they need to get healthy, they need to have better relationships, or, that spiritual connection, or that, just being human. That's not XI. Although XI is one of the fastest tools to be used to clean you up really fast. But this next phase of XI, that's what I'm really excited about. I mean, super excited about, because this is where we start to actually see and understand the human potential, what the possibilities are out there. We get out of the matrix. Again, and finding a job, getting married and all that. It's not that you still don't do that, but you do it with a vibrancy of life, because all those things that we do, no matter what it is, even falling in love, it's a sacrifice pattern, right? So exponential intelligence is like, well, how can we do all that stuff without the sacrifice? How can we do all that stuff without giving away anything that we don't need to give away? How can we do all that if we were, if there was another way of doing it? Right? So that's where XI begins. And there's so many people now that have, transformed their lives in a very short period of time. It doesn't take like decades or, for the most part, most people's lives, if they even wake up at all. This is literally about, you get that stuff done and then you get going on your potential. Okay, so I'm really excited, and thanks for being here. For those people who have been with me, and again, fantastic ride on the way up. For those people who are new, it's going to be a lot more effective or more efficient for you because, many of us have already created a path for you to, go on your journey. So it makes it a lot easier. And that's what evolution is about. So it's getting into, say, what evolution is about. The next generation or the next person coming up, it makes it easier, more efficient, and they go along the path faster, and they change a lot faster. They transform a lot faster. Plus, then those individuals, they allow other individuals to expand and continue. So, but I want to go back. I want to go back to where all this started, because XI is such a different technology, if you can call it a technology, but it's a state of being. It's a state of living. It's another physics. Okay, we don't pay much attention to, the physics principles that dictate how we react or we live in this life, right? We don't think about that stuff. We don't think about, all the chemical reactions that are needed, the thousands and thousands of chemical reactions that are needed in your body that happens like every second on clockwork, each and every millisecond. And we don't think about that. We're too busy about all these other things that are important or might not be important. But the thing is that our natural structure of who we are, we don't think about. We just take it as is. Okay? XI goes to the point that your natural structure changes, because when you change at your natural structure, so I'm talking about how you, say, render yourself here. And if for those people who are new, I'll talk about all the, say, terminology and so on, because it is different, because this is a whole different science. Back in the day, if like 50 years ago, if you said to somebody, a SIM card or an app or, some of the, new technologies here, they'd never understand it, right? Because it's a new technology. Exponential intelligence is, it's a new world of physics. And that's key. It's brand new. So we need new definitions, new terminology to redefine some of the old definitions, including the new technologies, but redefining like love. redefining hate, redefining what what potential is, redefining what success means, redefining everything that we think is human. We need to redefine all those things to accelerate us or expand us into this new reality or this new world. This isn't about, say, more technology. We've got technology that is, 1,000 years ahead of where human consciousness is. Right? So we don't need more technology, but we need human consciousness. We need humans to evolve to the level of technology, and that's where we can, really understand who we are. The technology nowadays is about replacing who we are. That's not what we need. There's been civilizations in the past that have died because of that, just because of that, right? And most people don't realize that. So XI literally brings us back into, our sense of self, our grander version. And I'm not talking, spirituality or religion, but our human potential. The possibilities that even makes a technology alive, right? We don't think of that, right? Where did all this technology come from? It came from us. If we destroy us, there's no more technology. Literally. So that's getting, it's bringing back the power back into our human self, where technology aids us, where money aids us, where family aids us, where love aids us, right? Into, say, growing and expanding even more. So that's what it's about. Where did it all begin? Well, it started early on. When I was really, really young, while other people, were partying and doing all this stuff, I started wondering about what the hell life was about. I started to observe. I was kind of a wallflower. I'd go to parties or, what have you, and I would just observe. I was that quiet kid that probably nobody ever recognized. It was like, oh, were you at the party? And, I was that quiet. I was just, again, invisible. But, when you're a kid like that and you have, you have abilities, or you have a different sense of understanding this reality, an expansive reality. You feel different. You feel very different. And I think many individuals, grow up going, shit, they're weird, or I'm weird, or whatever. And, we never get out of that phase. But, I took it as a privilege, actually, to be different. Now people want to be different, but they want to be different in so many of the same ways. You're not any different than anybody else, really, right? So being different to me, and I understood this back then when I was about, say, 10, 11, 12, which because you have the push of, group thought or group think and all that. It's like, why am I so different? Why am I so different? And then you try to be, or you try to mesh into those people, and it's like, shit, I don't want to be like them anyway. So why am I trying so freaking hard to be like them? And for you young people listening, you go to social media and it's like, shit, I want to be like that group. I want to be like that group. You don't want to be like anybody. You just want to be your best possible self. And you'll see that more people gravitate to you more than ever, because everybody is trying to be their best possible self. Okay. So you listening to this podcast, be your best possible self. And that's where you become, say, this powerful force that not only helps you stay stable, but then everybody else around you stay stable. So, but back to my story. When I was a younger child, I started to go, well, I like being me, and I really embraced that. So around 12, 13, 14, it's like, well, it's like, wow, this is really cool, and then I started to understand my potential or my abilities or my intuition, right? And I'm going, so I delved more into that, and I started to understand or start to figure out, I was like, well, what's the meaning of life? What really makes you happy? Because that phase of my journey was really about, we came from a blessed family. My dad was a very famous doctor, known throughout the world, and so we had money, but we had dignitaries come through, and all these successful people, they'd be eating at our dinner table and sharing all their problems. And I'm going, well, shit, if you're so successful, why do you have problems? As a young child, I'm thinking that. It's like, well, why would they have problems? You think that success or, being known or being intelligent or, having a Nobel Peace Prize or whatever it might be, you think you'd be happy with yourself, right? But many of these people weren't. They're discussing, with my father, like their illnesses, their family's illnesses and, their bad relationships with their wives or their kids and all that stuff. I'm going, how can that happen? How can you have such disparity, where success means happiness? Because that's what everybody tells you, right? Success means happiness. You make more money, you're more happy. It doesn't. And I'm not saying money doesn't buy happiness or money does buy happiness. Nothing buys you happiness. Your internal self, you can't buy happiness. You just are happiness. Okay? So whatever they say about money doesn't buy happiness or money does buy happiness, it's all bullshit. It's, again, your internal self. Okay? And that's part of the XI as well. It's a whole redefinition of who we are, where we get to redefine what everything is. And I'm talking everything: how you age, how you get ill, how you not get ill, how you have a job. All those things, started coming into me at a very young age. And I'm going, shit, what's the potential? But you do research. You do research and you go, well, I'm going to study religion, because that's the first aspect that I went to. It's like religion, religion and spirituality. And there's thousands of religions, concepts out there. There's, tons of spirituality concepts out there and so on like that. And, it doesn't fulfill, where we are. It doesn't fulfill who we are. So I went down into, the path of, success or money, because that's what I thought. But then again, it didn't fare well for all those other people who were successful. They still aged the same way. They still got ill the same way. They still had addiction patterns. They still had all those things that, poor people had. So that's not real success. To me, that's not success at all. It's like you have a shitload of money. Yeah, you can do your illnesses, you can do your addictions, maybe in better clothes or, luxury items and stuff, but you're still the same person on the inside. You're still hollow inside. Maybe that's a lot worse. I've heard some people say it's like, those people who aren't successful, at least they've got some hope. They've got some will. It's like, if I do become successful, I can resolve these human patterns. But those people who are successful, where are they going to go? They've reached to the top, and it's like, shit, I've gotten successful. I've got everything that I ever dreamed of, but I still feel empty inside, or I'm still lacking inside. So this is where exponential intelligence, really comes into play. So think about what I said, and just understand and start to notice what you notice. This is my key phrase: notice what you notice, and then notice the details of what you're noticing. Noticing why you're noticing those things that you are, even after listening to this podcast. Okay, podcast, my abilities, the abilities, the concepts, the technologies, exponential intelligence are so powerful that just listening to this podcast will not only like shake your mind up to have clear thinking, but it'll shake your identity of how you create yourself here. Your actual being will change, will transform. Okay, so welcome to the XI world.